How do you see the rise of China impacting the United States and Canada in terms of their relationship and directly to the two countries?
The Canadian government has been a little slow to deal with China. The first few years that Mr. Harper was Prime Minister, he wasn't especially interested in that relationship, much more concerned with the United States and with Europe. Of late, we've had a more sunny period with leaders exchange visits and so forth. China has a very keen interest in accessing Canadian commodities and selling them to the United States after they've been fabricated in China. And they want to own the asset, so they run into foreign investment review concerns in Canada a little bit. But a phenomenon is developing which is kind of interesting, and once again I was seeing this when I was in Paris a couple of weeks ago, of task sharing. The OECDs try to track who's actually adding the value in trade nowadays, because you have something like the iPhone, which comes from China, but only 6% of the value in the phone is Chinese, and much of it is German and Swiss and so forth. The Chinese want to buy commodities, and in Canada, take them back to China, do the IP in China, do the fabrication perhaps somewhere else in Vietnam, and then sell the product into the United States. They're investing enormous amounts of money in research in certain key areas such as automobiles and motive power and battery and so forth. They're showing an extraordinary intensity there. So I think the answer is that they're very aggressive competitors, and they don't necessarily share all the norms and values that we do with respect to the role of markets and governments and so forth. Whether that's in their interest or not, I don't know. But they said they want those baked beef and baked potatoes that we had for lunch here.
A lot of the same issues and concerns apply that Warren just mentioned vis-a-vis Canada. We have the added problem in the United States that China holds so much of our debt. So to the extent that we have concerns about some of the ways that China may or may not play fair in the international marketplace, we have to tread a little bit more lightly, perhaps, because there is this overwhelming issue of who holds our debt. I would say from CN's perspective that we do a lot of trade with China. A lot of the commodities that Canada is fortunate to have in the ground are ones that are much sought after by the Chinese, and a lot of those are transported by CN from origin to the Canadian seaports and then out to China. So we are seeing a lot of exciting developments with China, but it is a challenging relationship overall.
I had one kind of interesting story I encountered in Europe, which I knew nothing about, and it's just illustrative of the need for countries to be cooperative. The Nobel Committee nominated a Chinese dissident for the Nobel Prize, and so my Norwegian colleague was saying they've essentially severed relations with Norway. They've de-licensed a lot of our companies. They did everything short of pulling their ambassador out of Norway, canceled all academic exchanges, all conferences. Travel's more difficult. They can do that because Norway is a very small economy. That kind of resonated with me as a Canadian. We have challenges. We're very interested in intellectual property at the Chamber. We have a whole division working on that issue and the incredible loss to our industries of theft. And countries that are dealing with, for example, China, need to hang together, need to agree, need to deal firmly and properly as a collective, because the smaller countries just don't have the wherewithal. They can be picked off. And as the Norwegians are finding, even for something that had nothing whatsoever to do with the state, you can be vulnerable.
I want to add too. Here we are. We're North American condo. What a blessing! It is a blessing, and not only that, but between the two countries, and of course you have Mexico as well, part of North America. We have all this energy, all this water. The two most important things you need. Somewhat of a common language.
Sure enough.
Yeah, I used used to laugh at when people say they tabled the proposal in Canada. That meant they presented it, but here that means we've gotten rid of it. So there are a few differences, but we have all this going for us. That's why what Warren said, and I'm so glad you're here, is we need to make the most of it. And there's no excuse for not streamlining our border, our standards, our regulations, our infrastructure. There's just no excuse for it. Rather, I mean, we can worry about the Chinese all we can, or the Indians, or anybody else, and they're both getting pretty arrogant. But the bottom line, and they're important to us, especially our citizens of Chinese heritage and of Indian heritage, because they can be great links. But we got to do our own job here. If we do it right, we're going to outcompete and continue our quality of life the way we want it. And if we don't, we have only ourselves to blame.
Well, this is one way the university can be a big help. We're in the business of education. We have a group of students here who have helped put this together. We have Veronica Johnson from the University of Michigan who is here, and you hear the call. Mike Belzer, who is working on these kinds of issues, Wayne State University. Am I missing someone? You all represent a university of some sort, so somewhere in the state. So thank you for hearing that call for the need for public education. It's key. I want to call your attention very quickly. This is really important to know that students are such a big part of what happens here and bringing this kind of educational program to you, and they learn a good bit in the process. But Lauren Menier has been working to put these programs together for 3 years as a student. I can say a very brilliant top grade student in the College of Education. She's worked for me part-time any time she could lend to me to identify the issues and put this together. She's worked with Doug and other people in the room. Is Lauren hiding somewhere? I would like for you to acknowledge Lauren. She graduates. She's had several, at least 3 interviews that I know of. Her passion is teaching in the classroom, middle school and high school. So we wish her the very best of luck. She doesn't need it. She'll be fabulous. But Lauren, we have something for you. We want you to know that no matter where you are in the world, the Spartan spirit will follow you.
Thank you.
Just a few days ago, she sent me an email, and the subject of the email was my replacement. She's done the interviews and found just the right person, but I didn't like the subject matter. But we'll be in touch. We'll stay in touch. You're in this for the long haul. Thank you for your help with that. Thank you for being here today, and let's us keep in touch. And please help me thank our panelists.